Hi everyone, in this video we're gonna create and render a full video in React. So if you've probably heard about Remotion, which has been released a couple of days ago and a lot of people are going intense about it, among them is me. So I've been super interested about this project, Remotion project, and I've always got this idea of creating something like this, being able to create videos and motion graphics videos using web technologies and more precisely React, because React has this like compositional behavior and reusable components and huge libraries and kind of like UI libraries, third-party UI libraries, and you can reuse them throughout your projects, which means you can create awesome projects or awesome videos, especially for motion graphics and animated videos, animated components, animated logos, SVGs, and much more. So this is why Remotion exists. Remotion has been actually introduced a couple of days ago and has been seeing a lot of people going a lot nuts about it, loving it. So product hunting here actually has 575. There's I think 5K in a couple of days. So as I said, it's going absolutely interesting and amazing. So Remotion.dev, this is actually the official website. You can read the docs, you can read more. And in that particular video tutorial, we're going to have is actually take a look on Remotion, why you need Remotion, why you just like can use a normal video editor, and what is the pros and cons about reusing Remotion. And we are going to learn Remotion from scratch. This is probably going to be the first videos and about talking about Remotion and making tutorials about it. And we're going to create a channel logo, and more precisely my channel logo. So I'm going to create CoderOne channel introduction logo, or kind of like animated logo using Remotion. We're going to render it into a full video. So this is going to be looking like, and this is the first video. So it's going to be like a black normal underscore and it got a looking awesome kind of like introduction kind of like video. So this is going to be creating throughout this video. We're going to learn what is Remotion. I'm going to just jump into creating this one with SVGs and animation, spring animation, and much more. So all of that is going to be done in React with the help of Remotion. So yeah, without further ado guys, hope you guys enjoyed it and just get started. So let's just get started, and here's actually the main homepage of Remotion. It's called remotion.dev. You can go ahead and check out this one, and we can also check the repository of GitHub. So just a quick overview of how Remotion got into here. It just like has been released a couple of days ago. This is just like it was the official release of like Remotion, and it had like a really interesting kind of like release because a lot of people were interested on it. And it got so much hype, especially on Product Hunt and everything. So if you're seeing here, Product Hunt has already 575, and it got like a 5.1K in just like a couple of days. So a lot of people are interested, including me, of course. And I'm super excited actually to try this one and being able to create like motion graphics videos in React using all the power of technologies, web technologies, UI frameworks, animations, and much more what you can do programmatically and how you can make videos. So basic overview of Remotion here, it uses TypeScript, it uses Node.js for rendering, much more, and it pretty much uses FFmpeg for putting the video together. If you're not familiar with FFmpeg, it's just like a tool that allows you to create videos, convert between videos, and add audio, remove bit rates, and much more. It's all about video manipulation. It's super robust, and a lot of people rely on it. Big projects relies into FFmpeg. And one of them is actually Remotion. So Remotion here uses FFmpeg under the hood with Node.js to compile all of that and create the video and render the whole React web page into a video. And I've been actually thinking about this for quite some time. I've been willing to do something like this and been able to create videos programmatically. And yeah, I've been like looking forward to create videos for the channel, for the CoderOne, something like motion graphics, because I especially hate going through After Effects and spending hours to create on that, while as web developers, as we all love React and CSS and everything. So there's so much power comes from that and being able to use this to create real world videos. So this is a quick introduction. And I said before, you can read more about it right here. The documentation is pretty straightforward. So you need FFmpeg installed and you need a Node.js. So you click install FFmpeg. It's pretty straightforward. It's just simple. If you have Windows, you need to download this kind of zip file. You unzip it, you set the path, make sure to set the path, and you run ffmpeg bin, boom, next, installation done. Mac OS X as well is pretty straightforward, so it is also available on macappstore.org, ffmpeg. And for the last one, ffmpeg on Linux, much more specifically on Ubuntu, because other distributions might have some issues to install this, and I'm running on Ubuntu latest version in here, and I can install all of that in this quickest way. I already did that, I already installed it. So if you have these platforms, you can just follow this guide in here, click on it. It's pretty straightforward, I believe me. It's super easy to install ffmpeg. You can even Google about this, and you're gonna find tons of videos explaining on how to install ffmpeg. Alright, so after installing ffmpeg and doing all of the kind of like the setup, make sure Node.js is installed. This is pretty obvious as well. And the other thing you need to do is like yarn create video or npm init video, and that's all. And this is gonna be using npx to use like a CLI called create video. This CLI is made from the same guy in here. It is like tied up to the project to be able to like initialize and quickly scaffold projects for being used to with Remotion, and it has all the dependencies installed. It's much more like a framework that it hooks into, and you can just like start creating the videos onto that framework. It has like a sample app and everything you need to get with it. So to do that, I'm a fan guy of like yarn, so I'm just gonna use yarn. So I'm gonna do yarn create, and you can name it whatever. So my video, boom, you got that here. So we got like I think for I shouldn't put my video, so just like I should put yarn create video, because this is actually the name. Clearly in here, resolves package called create video. This is the CLI is going to be used to create and scaffold this project. And yeah, so just like wait for a couple of seconds, and the CLI is going to just like be started, and you're going to like be asked a couple of questions like, what is the name of project? You can click OK, and then does npm install and starts installing all the dependencies, yada yada yada. Pretty basic stuff. So after this one done, you're going to have a project, cd into it, open your favorite code editor, mine is VS Code, and let's just get started. So this is basically what we're going to have in here. I'm just going to quit, Control C. I don't need that anyway. I'm just going to quit all that. So there isn't much of documentation said before, because this is actually the first release and it's not quite huge, but it's still a lot of potential. It's basically like there isn't much tutorials. Probably this is actually the first or the second tutorial after the official one, like explaining Remotion and creating real world projects. So yeah, this is basically what it is. Now I've got it here opened. Just clear that terminal, and yeah, there you go. So we got here like src, and this is what you get. So you get like an src, you get tsconfig, it uses TypeScript, you get server in here. This is where actually the rendering goes. So it's curious in here, it just like uses some kind of like servers, and there's actually a playground that gets opened up to your browser, so you can clearly edit and view the rendered video in real time. It's much more like using it in After Effects or Premiere Pro or any other like video editor. It's just pretty much the same thing. You're gonna have it opened up side by side in your project or browser, and you can start working on it. So pretty basic stuff. So far so good here. And for the package.json, there isn't much going on. So you can just like start the server, build. This one is going to create and render the video, and this is actually the name of video. You can specify that yourself. This one upgrades Remotion, upgrades all the dependencies. This one starts the server, which is not going to be used that much, and this one just runs testing. It's pretty similar to like Create React App scaffolded project, so it has the same structure in here, nothing really important. And all here is going to be installed actually Remotion CLI, bundler, render, and those what does the rendering and everything. Exclusive is still 1.0, so it's like the first versions that you can put your hands on. So here I already started the project, or like did yarn start. So let me just go ahead and do that again for you guys. So just like yarn start, it's going to open up a new view here. So let me get rid of the old one in here. So you basically get a video editor view here. You can, view your rendered video, start playing it. And this is actually the boilerplated sample video included in the project. So you can view it, and it just like keeps playing continuously. These ones here represent a sequence. Sequence is just like a file, like it's a video component that has a couple of like other components that gets rendered on. For example, this logo sequence in here gets rendered. This React logo and does the animation for it. The title sequence gets rendered the welcome to Remotion, and the last one, subtitle in here, renders the last subtitle thing in here. As clearly see, it's text, so you can interact with it because it's just like a simple web page. That's all it is. You got the FPS in here. You got like the sequences, so you can play each one on itself. This is actually the master sequence, which includes all the other compositions. And here it gives you like duration. This is 5 seconds, and it runs on at 30 FPS. Always for videos, make sure it runs on at 30 FPS, and it's 920 by 1080, so that is good as well. You got a full HD video. I'm not sure about support 4K. I think it doesn't support 4K for now, but I'm pretty sure it will support more like resolutions and being able to select this kind of like resolution upon rendering and when viewing it. So you're gonna have a lot more options when this one gets a little bit more like push-ups and collaboration, and just adds more. So it's very promising. I love it. I tested it all day today and like a couple of days ago, and it's just like super awesome to work with Remotion right in that point. So yeah, pretty simple stuff, pretty easy to get started, as I said before. You can use other animation libraries with it. It has like its own included thing, but you can use this as frame of motion thing in here, which I love so much. But you have to do some tweaking because it doesn't like provide a lot of documentation and info on how to use it. So you have to know like exactly how animation works and how to manipulate this FPS and frames and yada yada yada. So yeah, you can use that as well. So nonetheless, here we're going to be doing, as I said before, so as I said before, we're going to create my channel logo, like my intro logo for channel, using this Remotion. We're using it React. So we're going to build it all using CSS, some spring animation. We're going to just do it pretty simple, nothing really complicated. We might also include some audio, even though audio is not right now supported upon rendering, so you can't export audio, but you can preview it on the browser. So yeah, we're waiting for the audio support basically. And yeah, so that's basically what we're going to be having right now. So as I said before, we're going to create actually the CoderOne logo, the intro logo for my channel. Now, first things first, let's go and get started. I'm going to create something I'm going to create in here. It's called CoderOne. Okay, CoderOne logo. Okay, something pretty simple. I'm going to have an index.tsx, and remember to name it tsx always because we are on a TypeScript project. It's not being JavaScript or something. It's just, purely TypeScript here. So we're gonna go to React. From React, I'm gonna export a functional component. It's CoderOne logo. Alright, I'm gonna have some prompts, but I'm not gonna be including that anyway. So this is what we're gonna get. And the other folder we're gonna be needing is actually like a subfolder or just like a component that is gonna render exactly our logo, because this one is just gonna be a composition or a sequence player. Remember, as we've seen right now, the sequence, the hello world sequence or the logo sequence, then it comes the title sequence, the subtitle. So you can, put this composition together, these sequences together into a compositions, and they can play one after the other. After you delay them, you put them one after the other, and whatever. So you have so much flexibility when it comes to playing sequences and putting them together in conjunction to create a video, right? So yeah, this is what we want. Here I'm gonna just name it a logo. I'm gonna have an index.tsx as well, and this is actually where the logo is gonna live. So I'm just gonna create a React component real quick. I'm gonna export a function for this one. So this is just basically, as I said before, it's gonna be about the logo. It's nothing really complicated or something. All we're gonna do is just like render out this one. And for putting like things together, as you've seen my videos before, if you've probably did that, well, I always love using style components. So rather than just putting CSS modules and everything, style components makes it easier. So that's what I'm gonna be doing in here. I'm gonna just I'm gonna use npm because this project for some reason uses npm only, and that might be like another issue that we need to look at. So npm install, I'm gonna be installing styled components, click save, and that's all. I already did the installation, so we don't have to worry about that exactly. So this is exactly what we're going to be needing here. Let's go ahead and put the composition together. And first things first, what I'm going to have is actually have a background color. So as you've seen before here, we have got this background color, and here it's white. So I want to just I'm not going to be using this one. I'm going to create my own sequence and composition, but I am just going to make this video background a little bit more like darkish background, because I want my logo to come from the dark and make my logo just stand on the dark, and just it feels more like a hacker kind of like coding theme, you know what I mean, a dark theme. We all do love dark themes, by the way. So yeah, this is what I'm just intending to put as this one. And I'm gonna just put background container. I'm gonna use styled, the one we just installed. So this one's gonna take a full width. It takes a full height. In that particular case, we're gonna have a display flex. Maybe we're gonna have a flex column, I think. So flex direction, I'm gonna have a column, and we might have justifying a content for center, just to center everything there. Also have align items. I want to also center it either horizontally and vertically, so both. And I want to set a background color. I don't know, something let's say we can go for 1111. Probably this will just output some darkish, kind of grayish. So it won't look like pitch black, but it would just give it a nice screws in here, a little bit kind of grayish and darkish color. So yeah, that sounds good. So this is the one I'm gonna have other. So I'm gonna just do centered container, and this one is gonna hold everything on the center. And this is what exactly we want to do. I'm gonna have 100% for the width. I'm gonna have display flex. And I'm gonna have align items center. So I wanna just align them horizontally because they have already aligned there. And so if we've got full width, which we probably do after putting the logos together, so you're gonna see why we're putting it in here. But yeah, I'm gonna just center everything right into that direction. I forgot about flex direction column. Alright, cool. So let's go ahead and just render things out. Background container, centered container, and yeah, so it seems pretty good so far. So let's wrap things into a sequence. So a sequence, it's curious, we can import it from Remotion. It has a from, which is the frame number that the sequence starts. And by the way, here Remotion is completely built and just relies a lot into frames, the number of frame. So you're gonna just have to work with that, because it doesn't work with duration, video duration. For example, on After Effects you want I don't know, 2 seconds or something, just scroll it all the way down. Now this one is more frames. If your application got 150 frames, you divide that by the number of FPS, the frames per second. So you do the division, you're gonna have probably 5 seconds or something, right? So this is exactly what happens, and it's all being calculated in frames. And here for the sequence, you tell it which frame this sequence should start working, should start playing on the video. So by default, I'm gonna have it from 0 because we want it to start always from 0. And duration in frames, clearly in duration in frames, how much the sequence is gonna take, I'm gonna put infinity because I want it to take as much frames as possible. So take the whole video. Now, if you look back into the video here, this one has composition, and this is actually the root where composition actually gets components. It gets rendered hello world components. If we take a look on it, the component is just basically a couple of sequences. So you render these sequences inside of that component. You give it duration in frames. It has 150 with an FPS it runs on 30 FPS, so 150 by 30. You're gonna have 5 seconds, and the width and height in here is clear to see. You can actually change the aspect ratio and the width and height up in rendering, but I believe 1080p would be actually a good choice for making motion graphics videos. It's a standard thing nowadays. And default props you can pass into the composition or whatever, title text and title color and everything else. So yeah, so this is basically what I was talking about. If we can go back here, so duration in frames and everything, and this one should be a sequence, so it should hold up something. And if you put hello inside of that, we go back into the video. So this is actually the root video. If you look into the index, so Remotion in here, how it works, it just like has or exports this root function, which is called register root. If you look at it, it just basically takes a component of React, just a basic React component. You give it the root React component. So you can imagine this as React then DOM render. So this is basically what it's doing behind the scenes. So this function takes the root components basically and renders it into the DOM. So it's gonna obviously do some like, you know, here and there, like some tips and tricks. It's gonna just like change a little bit on it, do some configuration and change on it to make it more like a video, but eventually just gonna render it to the DOM using React DOM render. So yeah, this is actually what's going here, and we pass the Remotion video. Now the Remotion video in here got a couple of compositions, and you can have like multiple sequences stacked up together. And for now, we're not going to be doing this. I'm just going to get rid of that. I'm going to need only one sequence, and here for the ID hello world sequence, I'm going to like CoderOne logo. And for this one, I'm going to also do like CoderOne logo, export the index. So the CoderOne logo in here is going to just like get us the index file by default. So this is actually one of the coolest things about JavaScript and TypeScript. And boom, so I'm not going to be needing that anyway. I'm not going to be needing the default prompts. I'm going to leave it 150, so 150 by 30, I'm going to have top 5 seconds for the video. So save that again, save that as well, go back. We probably got an issue. Okay, for some reason we got an issue creating composition. Can only you pass what? Not exactly what I passed there. Oh, it's for the ID. Okay. Yeah, exactly. It was for the ID. So, and yeah, we got things in here. There isn't actually much. I think because I've put this one into. Okay, one more issue. Where is it going on? Children of and defined. Where is that? Or get timeline clip. There's probably some issue in here. You can't actually render some children or something. I'm not sure about that, but yeah, basically that should work perfectly without any issues. After we add some animation, I think because right now it has some like no children whatsoever. I'm not sure though, but yeah, basically if we just like have it a bit more, it's gonna just like work fine. So anyway, let's go ahead and put the logo together. Now let's go back into the logo component, our beloved logo in here, and so I'm just gonna import React again from React as always. I don't know if this just keeps going for some reason because we're not using it. Okay, cool. So yeah, what we're gonna be needing in here, I already put inside of the assets some like sound effects we're probably gonna use, but it's not really a big deal. Also got the logo CoderOne, and most importantly we got the SVG, so logo mark SVG in here. And this is actually the SVG of my logo. As clear as it's pretty straightforward. It has a couple of paths and everything. So yeah, nothing complicated about it. Just a curly brace and just like you know, an underscore in here and a C, pretty cool C there. So yeah, we're gonna be having in here. I'm gonna just like use these into different parts, which means I'm gonna copy this path, which is the C. So copy the single path in here, put it inside of its own file, and animate it alone. I'm also gonna copy this underscore. I don't think this is the one. So this curly brace, copy it by itself, put it inside of its file, as well as the underscore. So each part in here is gonna be like live inside of its file, and it's gonna have its own animation entity, which means I'm gonna like animate each part alone. Like the underscore comes first, then the C pops up. So just to create this awesome animation about how the logo will look like eventually. So yeah, this is gonna be doing in here. I already like did a couple of it because it's super you know, it's super weird to work with SVGs and just like dealing with paths and putting the directions and just like rendering the stuff. So eventually I'm not gonna like want it to make the video super long. So I did that already. I put in some like components. I'm probably just gonna copy some like paths and these throughout the video. So this is not because it's really not important, that part of like this video or the main reason why this video exists anyway. So yeah, as I said before, I was gonna put things together in here, and what I'm gonna be having, I'm gonna put those inside of like bracket path. I'm gonna have the C path, I'm gonna have the logo all into their own files. So let's go to start, and I'm gonna have like the C path, and this one is just gonna be like the C, the C letter for CoderOne. So this is gonna be its own file. I'm gonna have another one, so it's gonna be bracket path.tsx and underscore path.tsx, right? So this is exactly what we're gonna have in here. I'm gonna import React again. So from React, I'm gonna export a function, cpath. Yeah. I'm gonna have a couple of props. So for TypeScript, if you're not familiar, you have to define your own props in an interface up here. So iPath props and props, ICPath props. Okay, pretty cool. So yeah, this is basically the path. It's gonna be more familiar with or similar to like the logos on the Hello World sample code in here. So it's not gonna be much of different thing going on. Let's go and put a container for this one. So that contains my whole logo. So I'm gonna have a style div, and I'm gonna just like, let's say I'm gonna have a 400 pixels for the width and both the heights too, because I'm gonna make the logo look a little bit bigger, and just takes, you know, almost the whole screen just to show it up, because we want the logo on the center. So this is what I'm gonna be doing right there. I'm gonna have a display flex, probably flex direction. Okay, I'm just gonna have a line items center, and justify content to the center as well. And eventually I'll probably like, I'm gonna have overflow hidden for one reason, because we want to like have some really cool special animations seen before, like the video I've seen before when I showed you the demo. So we want the underscore, then we got like the C character, and we got the curly brace. We need them to get out, like they slip out of this underscore. Like the underscore is there, though one slips out to the bottom, the other one to the top, then the underscore goes right into the bottom, into its place. So this kind of like plays a really awesome animation at the beginning. So yeah, I'm gonna be having it right here. For this one, also what we need is actually, there's a hook provided by Remotion, the library itself. So this hook actually provides us with a video config. So clearly in here, once we like put the config in here, it's gonna use a context, it's gonna put it inside of a hook. So whenever we like want to access it, we can just use the hook, and it's gonna give us the configuration. So we can do like use video config, and this is a hook, as I said before. It's gonna return a config, which is simply a video config. It has like a couple of like parameters you're gonna need throughout the whole thing in here. So I'm gonna just simply need to return the container, and we're gonna be needing to return the actual SVG. So this is SVG, and as I said before, I'm gonna be just like using this path. So for example, I'm gonna copy sorry, this, where is that? Undo, okay. I think the whole file has gone for some reason. So there you go. So I got it back, and yeah, so this is basically what I'm going to be doing. For example, I could just copy this one, put it inside of its file, and then we can just like apply some animation into it. So as I said before, I already did a couple of that, because this is actually a quite painful job to go through and do it. And so yeah, this is what I'm going to be doing right here with its alt transform. I'm just going to copy all the code, and I'm not just going to keep going through it. I'm just going to close this one where I need it. So this one has like translate. It has the D path in here to put the C character. So remember, this is actually the C character. I'm also putting a transform in here, 2.5, to scale it up a little bit, because we got like 400 pixels and we wanted to take the full container on that. So that's why I'm putting this scale. Other than that, we've got fill to be FFF. So I want it full white, no stroke whatsoever, fill opacity 1. So if you're not familiar with SVG, just follow along. It's really not hard. It's just like the same as CSS properties right here. And yeah, so that's basically what it is right here. And also here we got like couple of things for the view box and the width and everything for the SVG. So also we got like a view box, config width and height. So I'm going to use both the config width and height. So it takes, you know, the full viewport in here of the video since it's 1080p. So I'm just going to provide it with the SVG in here, and the width and the height is going to be auto. So which means it's going to fill the whole container, and it's going to take 400 pixels as well. Pretty cool. So that's basically all you need to worry about in that case. Now, what we need is actually we want to animate this. So we're going to run some like spring animation. We're going to just like take values. For example, we're going to have the underscore. So underscore, for example, we need to increase the width of it. Let's say it goes from 0 to like 500 pixels of width in a spring animation. And if you're not familiar with spring animation, it's more like a physics-based animation with a mass, stiffness, dampness, and everything like that. So it feels more realistic to like a real-world animation. So you give it like a mass, and you tell you want this width, so it goes from 0 to 500, and you see it really smoothly transitioning between like this curve, and it goes from 0 to 500 in a really cool spring animation or physics-based animation. So yeah, this is going to be providing or using right now. So yeah, I'm going to have it here. And what I wanted for the C, so this one is just like the C, it's not the underscore. For the C, I'm going to use the transform Y, and I'm just going to put the prompt in here. It's going to be a number. So I'm going to provide this transform Y to like transform it and just get it all the way from the up to down and whatever, so I can play with it. I'm going to put this one right here. So I'm going to say transform equals, and I'm going to use template riddles. I'm going to do translate, and for translating here, we want to translate the Y. So for the X is going to be 0. For the Y, I'm going to use that value right there. So I'm just going to simply go and do, okay, so I think this was called transform Y equals props. Okay, cool. So you can have it right there, and that's basically it. So then we can provide this one. We can animate this particular value just like it has interpolate throughout a couple of values, and we got this awesome motion graphics. So yeah, mainly the main idea behind like creating videos in React and using Remotion is actually being able to animate, because motion graphics is all about animation and being able to like integrate the cool part, the cool visuals, and animate them together to create this really awesome motion graphics. And CSS and React with its own libraries, spring animations, transitions, all of them are capable of doing a really advanced and cool looking animation. So I really advise you just guys to take a look on this if you are interested, or if you're like a web developer, someone who's like me, really interested in this kind of things. So yeah, that's basically where it is. So anyway, let's go back into the logo. So this is where the magic is going to happen. Basically for this one, I'm going to just like render everything inside of that box. So I'm just not going to have so much things going on it. So I'm going to have logo container. I'm going to use style components again, just like, you know, I always love to use style component to put things into perspective. So for this one, I'm going to put relative for the position, because we're going to have some positions at absolute, and want to like relatively position them to this one. And flex, and for flex direction, we want them to be column, because we've got a couple of more parts to work with this logo. So yeah, that's basically what we're going to be needing for that particular part. I'm just going to do like logo container, I believe, and can go ahead and render out the C path. And I can put transform Y, I think 0. I'm not sure if that one is going to work perfectly. But anyway, so let's go and put the logo instead of this one. So this logo is going to be imported from here. It's going to use the C path, right? Cool. So going back into here, and voila. So we got the issue gone already. So we don't need the issue anyway. Yeah, so let's close in here. If I like run it, it can run, and it has like a 5 seconds. So it runs it at 30 FPS. And has the 5 seconds, and We got the background we set, we got the actual character we set in here, and the color we set, the SVG and everything. So that is working absolutely fine. Now let's go ahead and apply some animation. And before actually doing animation, what I want is actually include all the parts before getting started and putting together the animation, so we can have the full parts together. So in that particular part, what I want is actually have the two other ones, the bracket path and the underscore path. So I'm going to be using the same thing, the same technique, not going to go anything over like the hinge or anything like out of control. So that's exactly what I'm going to be doing. I'm just going to copy paste the code and put it here. So it's going to be the same as the, the C path code in here with the SVG and everything. But this one is going to just like include the underscore. So yeah, we got right here. I don't need actually the opacity. Both transform X and Y might be needed in that particular case. So we got use video config. We do the same for the video config, auto width and height. For this one, we're not going to have like a container, mainly because we want like the SVG to be positioned in an absolute manner. So that is actually a good part to get started with. So what I want to do here is just to make the code look better. So SVG wrapper, I'm going to have it in a style component to wrap up in SVG real quick. So I want to have like position absolute. Yeah, so that's basically what I want for an SVG wrapper. Nothing too complicated, just to make things go smooth with that. Now also I'm doing like transform to translate it to X and Y, the available through props. For doing animation, obviously I don't need to pass it anyway, and this is the path for underscore. It's pretty simple. Now the interesting part you need to look at is actually the width. So we are interpolating the width we receive from the props into the D path. So this particular width in here tells it the width of the underscore. If this value becomes 0, so the underscore won't be visible anyway. So it's going to be like 0. So just like the underscore collapses and there is no underscore exist, the line doesn't draw anyway. So yeah, if you like have 500, you're going to have like a 500 width, or it's more like yeah, you can call it a width, or it's better like length of the underscore. So you got like a 500 pixels width of that underscore. So that's what I'm going to be doing in here. I'm going to like interpolate it from 0 to like whatever width, like 500 or something, to get this really awesome animation if it expands, right? So this is what I'm going to have in here. And also got like the scale, like 2.0 in here, does a good job. I don't have any issues with it because underscore wanted to be fairly small, nothing too big or something. Now, last but not least, we're going to have the like bracket path. Okay, so we're going to do the same thing, copy paste it. We got the bracket path in here. We got both transform. I don't need the opacity again, and I'm going to only need the Y there to make it work. We got transform Y 0 for the X position. Got the G in here doing its own transformation, and this one represents the curly brace. We got scale, transform, and rotate. So here we are rotating the curly brace because mainly the curly brace is just like facing upwards, like it's like inner kind of like container faces upward side. We don't want that. We want it to face downward. Okay, so we want it to face bottom. That's why I'm doing the rotation right there. And pretty simple math, nothing too complicated. I'm gonna provide it transform Y to transform the curly brace as well. Pretty cool. Now let's go and put them together inside of the logo. So index, I'm gonna have the C path. Before the C path, I'm gonna have the bracket. So bracket path, I'm gonna have transform Y. I'm gonna have this 0 again. And in between both of these, because we want firstly the underscore to become in between both of them. So the underscore comes in the middle, as you've seen before in the demo. Then above it, there is the curly brace, and just right below it, there's the C. So they both like get out of this like this underscore, which creates this awesome animation, which makes sense that the logo will look absolutely astonishing and better than other regular animations. So yeah, I'm gonna have like underscore path in here for last but not least. So I'm gonna have transform X. Basically gonna have both zeros in here, just like rendering stuff, nothing too complicated. And for the width, I'm gonna have 500 because this is actually like, I think the standard value we can use to put my logo into perspective. So if we take a look into this one, I guess, I'm not really sure, but I think, where is the path? Okay, so this is the one. So you see the H here takes 471, so I want it 500, a little bit, wider than one, and it should look better. So yeah, pretty cool. Let's go back, and there you go. So we got the curly braces facing bottom side, and we got the just basically the X in here, or pretty much the underscore. Now we got all the parts. Now we need to animate them. We need to like get the underscore first, getting the width first. Then we want to get both the curly braces and the C, and we want just like to take this underscore right into the bottom to form the final logo. Yeah, so that's basically what we need to do for now. Now the animation time, we can go ahead and put all the animation using Spring animation provided by Remotion, because Remotion has its own functions that allows us to basically interpolate and integrate those physics, and it uses the frame. So you have to pass in the frame, the current frame, in order to be able to play this animation. As I said before, you can use it with something like Remotion or any other like animation library, but you have to respect the frame. So you have to work with this frame because you are actually in a video, and frame means how many times this should move or how many times this should collapse, going back, forth, going x-axis, y-axis, whatever. So it just like tells it how to control the animation, because video, rendering inside of a video is much different than rendering a normal web page that always running and never stops, right? So you have to put that in mind, and this is exactly the constraint that goes with video rendering. And there's actually a couple of bits here and there you need to consider before like, rendering a video, and you have to put in mind when creating a video using React. Pretty cool. Now, yeah, so let's just jump right into there, as I said before. So what I want in here, I want like the spring animation to work pretty realistic. I'm going to be using the spring function provided with like from Remotion there. Okay, so I'm going to call this one C path Y position, and I'm going to use the spring function. So this one is going to be imported from Remotion, as clearly see on the top right there. The first parameter it takes, so it takes actually, I think, an object. So the first one, it takes the frame, so the current frame. To get the current frame, there's another hook likely. So we can need to like use current frame, which is obviously always imported from Remotion. Cool. And what also we need is actually the FPS, which is imported from EU's video config hook. Okay, so I got the FPS, everything. So we can put FPS there. I can put, from, so we can get it started from 0 to 100 or something. I don't know, I'm just not gonna test with this one. And you can have like configuration for that, like the stiffness or the spring configuration and how it actually works in a real world, right? So that's what I wanted in that particular case. You can pretty much have it whatever, but I'm gonna put my standard thing in here for making the animation look good. I'm gonna have mass of 10. So dumping probably is gonna be 100, maybe 110. Okay, and for the stiffness, we can have like 300, I think. We'll make it look good. This is basically the standard I use on that particular side. So if I go, where is that? Okay, so the C path. Now from 0 to 100 means it goes from 0 value to 100, and then it gets returning that value that it gets here throughout the frame. And if you're actually confused of how this one works, of how spring animation works, you've got like no duration, you're not telling it that, oh, this should run for 2 seconds, then stops, or this one should delay it. You can delay it by just like delaying the frame, but the frame here, the prop in here, is actually controlling everything. It controls like how it moves, when it moves, and how many times or how many frames it moves, right? And the configuration of the spring in here, like the mass, the dumping, the stiffness, tell them like the animation how it goes. Like the mass in here, the bigger the mass, the slower the animation is gonna be. Like the lower the mass, the faster the animation is gonna be. The dumping in here is gonna be like a variable that holds back the mass, so it's more like a friction thing. And stiffness is actually how stiff the spring is. So the higher the number, the smoother and the springier the animation is gonna be. So probably got the points, but you need to look, if you're not familiar with the spring animation, you might need to Google that out before fully understanding and working with it. Alright, so saving back in. If we go back all the way up, it's clear to see here it goes down because we are telling the Y variable to go down. Pretty cool. So just wanted to show you how that works, the spring animation with all the configuration, the frame and everything. Now let's go ahead and get started and put the variables into perspective. Gotta start with the underscore in here because it's the most important part. It's gonna apply like the main ball that's all the other players, all the other paths gonna play around. So yeah, I'm gonna just like get started and work with that first. For this one, I'm gonna have like both underscore. It's gonna be like having two variables, like the Y and the width. So that's basically I'm gonna be working with. I'm gonna put first the width. I'm gonna name this underscore width. It's gonna equal spring. So from to frame FPS and the configuration, which I'm gonna be using this one. Same thing in there. Okay, just passing this one. Now, from and where, I want to start it from 0, and remember, I want it to go to 500 because I want this to be like interpolated into 500 over time in that particular case. So that's exactly what I wanted. And how I delay this one and how actually I tell it, oh, this one needs to be delayed and everything. I can go ahead and tell it only takes like frame minus 5 seconds, so it's going to be like 5 frames behind. So just delaying it by 5 frames. If you take a look on that, I don't think this is probably going to be working because, yeah, so I'm not even using this one right here, okay? Maybe I need to use it there. So it's clear to see it plays a really smooth animation. So yeah, it goes pretty cool. What I need in here, just like to transform this a little bit, so we can have 110 less, I guess. Pretty cool. So yeah, this one works pretty well. It's clear to see it goes the width and it does it really well with playing the animation. So it goes really well with that. We can go ahead and just like lower this one with probably 7 or something, where it goes faster, maybe. Yeah, we can have it too. This should be faster. We can have it 100. Cool. So right now it plays much faster and it looks cooler actually. It's super cool to work with that right there. Now, yeah, pretty interesting. Let's just jump into, so we got the width in here, it's being played out here. What I don't want to just like have this Y position of the C path down. I want it to get out of the underscore, which means it first initially it starts all the way on the top, then it goes all the way down and it gets out of like the underscore. So remember when we set the C path and we got the overflow? So as I told you before, we use this overflow because it's gonna hide the parts. It's gonna have like 400 pixels, and if we like transform it up like more than 400 pixels, for example, we say the Y is gonna be minus 500 pixels, which is on the top. So it's gonna be out of the container, out of the box. So it's gonna be completely hidden, and that's exactly what I want. I want it completely hidden, then it goes all the way down. And 400 pixels, which means it's gonna like have the borders with the underscore, so it's gonna feel like it's going out of the underscore, right? So that's what we wanted to have in that particular case. So we can have like that to get out as we want it. I can go and tweak that a little bit. I'm gonna have this to go to 10,000 because we got some quick stiffness, so I needed to go as, you know, as far as possible, then get it down here into something like 0 to get it right with the stiffness and everything. So the animation will look fast and just doesn't look really creepy or something. Now as clear to see in here, as clear to see, it plays a little bit, I guess, to the top, I'm not sure. So we got transform Y in here because it's not really looking as exactly I want it to be for the underscore Y position. So I believe it will start let's see. So the underscore position, so it's really not gonna start at first. So let's say -40 because maybe, so you can have underscore first, then that one comes right from it, which looks pretty cool. So in here just goes all the way down, like it comes out of this underscore. So the underscore comes first, then there's the C, comes in a really nice spring animation and does this really awesome motion, like it comes out of the underscore. So that's pretty cool. Now what I want as well, I want the curly brace to come all the way top, the same as the C is doing, so they both get the same time or get out of the underscore at the same time. So this is going to create a really awesome animation and look and feel of all the parts, right? So that's exactly what I'm going to be having right here. I'm going to do the second one in here. I'm going to have the bracket Y position because we only need the bracket Y position for that particular case. So I'm going to create const bracket Y position. I'm missing an O. So I'm going to have the spring. So from in here, like from where it starts, we're probably gonna have like 3,000 or something. I'm gonna have it to 40 because yeah, we got this one like -40, I believe, if that actually makes sense. But anyway, so I'm gonna have frame FPS and config again. I'm not sure, I don't have that, so let me just copy this. Okay, cool. So bracket Y position, we can have this one right there. Let's try it out. So animation ends. Okay, sounds cool already. But this one gets out before the other one. So I was curious to see, like the color brace gets out before the C does. Mainly because I'm having like smaller gaps between this one. Okay, I can increase this one to, I can have it 9,000, maybe 10,000 now. Okay, oh, because we got a, okay, I'm sorry. Because I got a massive 2, so it's speeding up. We don't want massive 2, we want the same as the C path, right? So it's gonna have the same animation. So they both get at the same time, clearly see, in a really same smooth animation out of like the underscore. So that feels really good, as clearly see, just like the underscore goes up and they both get out of it and just like from nowhere, like fade out of it, which makes it look absolutely amazing. I really love this animation. Yeah, I believe the last part of what we need to do that is actually take this underscore and make it go all the way to the bottom after this animation finishes. So make it go all the way to the bottom, right beneath the C, so the form or the final logo can form up like all of a sudden, right? So yeah, we can go ahead and do that again. I can have like the same as the underscore width in here. So I don't want to have that, so I have like underscore Y position. Gonna have like spring again. It's gonna have pretty much the same thing in here. What I'm gonna have in is like a start from -40 because we already got a start from -40 in that particular part. Not sure, but let's say it goes to 370 or 400. I'll try the 400 thing. Okay. For basically that's I'm gonna be using the same default values for this. So this one is getting like delayed by 5 seconds, or basically 5 frames, not 5 seconds. And what I want to delay this by, let's see, so we want to have like the video right there, like, so this one, they both get out like, so let's say we want it -70. So at the 70th frame, this animation is gonna kick out, okay? And that's what I wanted. So I want underscore y position. So this one is too far away, I believe. I guess, yeah. So bracket y position. Oh, that's bracket. Yeah. Maybe. I guess, yeah. So they get both out of it, then it goes all the way down. And it's really smooth, as Chris in here. It looks pretty smooth, the animation and how it plays. So it gets out, they both get out of it, and we got that one. So this, this underscore, when it comes out, you can have like another animation. For example, you change the color of the sea or something. You can pretty much do a lot of things with it, this animation. So just like wanted to preview, guys, how you work with that and how to basically work with Remotion. So hopefully, guys, just going through this video, creating this animation on it, creating this video, playing with frames and FPS and all of that. Hopefully, you guys made sense now how to create videos in React using Remotion. And hopefully you can just like get started, because it's really not that complicated task. You just like get to know the just the basic stuff and the standard things to put videos together and how rendering is working and everything like that, the props and stuff, and you are ready to go. And to eventually render up the video, just like render it out after you finish with it, all you've got to do is just like run the build command. So if you take a look on the package.json, we can go ahead and look like do yarn build, and you can provide -- overwrite, because I've already built the video in here, I want to overwrite it. Click enter, it starts building the video. Then there is actually cannot find composition with ID hello world. Yeah, that's basically because we got here like hello world. So you need to tell it exactly which composition you want to render, and I can just like put a CoderOne logo in that package.json. So we can do the same thing, render it, start building the video together, then you start rendering frames. So, depends on your PC and stuff like that, but FFmpeg usually does a really good job when rendering. So it has like 2x concurrency, and it can get up more depending on how many cores you got and how many cores you're allowed to be like fully used. And boom, so it's already done in here. For some reason it throws this weird error, but I can assure this isn't actually a bad thing, because the video is still being exported and works. So if we take a look on it, so there you go. Pretty smooth, right? We still got the video, we still got like everything we would like to work with in that particular part, and it's still looking absolutely amazing. So I'm not sure why. And mainly actually here for leaving the opacity, when we set the background color, we left the opacity in the last attribute in here. This one by default gets 0, which means the opacity is going to be 0, which is going to have like a white background. That's why when we like checked out the video a couple of seconds ago, we saw the background as white. That was pretty weird. All you have to do is just like make sure the opacity is set to 1, just to make sure the color goes right in here. And if you just go ahead and like re-render it, it's going to render fine. I've already got the video in here played out. It's actually the final version of the video, and it looks absolutely identical and the same thing. So everything looks pretty great, and the video is running absolutely awesome. So yeah, pretty cool. So as I said before, guys, hope you guys enjoyed just watching this video tutorial. If you like this Remotion, let me know, because I really do enjoy it and really do love it. Go check out the the GitHub repo there if you can pull requests. add issues, help like improve this one, because I see a lot of like promises and a lot of good things in that particular library. So yeah, I would love to see more feedback about you guys. Hope you guys enjoyed as before, or as always I say, and yeah, make sure to subscribe, make sure to like this video if you really enjoyed it, and yeah, catch you all hopefully in the next ones.